Hello everyone, today we're going to be learning pseudocode and how to translate into C++. Over here on the left I have our pseudocode, in the center is where we're going to be putting our C++, and then here on the right I have Python. Don't worry about this, you don't too much about Python, you don't need to know this, not something you're going to be tested on. It's only here so you can see that you can translate pseudocode into different languages. So before we start, let's go over what is pseudocode. So pseudocode is just a plain English way of writing the instructions for what you want to do. So when you're learning a language for the first time, it's very hard to think, okay, here are the steps I need to do, and then kind of figuring out, okay, well, how do I do that in C++? And you might get caught up. You might not know something. You might have to go Google it or something like that. And then you kind of can get lost in your steps. So if you go through a particular assignment and you just write out line by line, plain English, what you need to do for each step, do all of that first, and then walk through that list and say, okay, I need to do X, I need to do Y, I need to do Z. And then if you get caught up and you say, oh, well, X was fine, but I don't know how to do Y, I don't know how to do this thing, you can then go look at it, Google it, whatever you need to do, read the textbook, come back, and then you won't be confused about where you were at. You know, if you only have three items you have to do, that's probably not going to be a problem, but some of the assignments get quite large and there's a lot of work to do. When you're writing pseudocode, there's no real requirements for it. You just need to write it in plain English, hopefully being clear. As you do it a lot, you can kind of see that what I have here, this looks a little bit like C++, looks a little bit like programming. Going line by line is helpful because it'll be easier to translate to actual code. But you'll notice as you go along, so we've got greater than, sometimes you'll see, you know, if you need to define something, you'll see that you'll use the double equal sign or what have you. Do as much of that, so we have .end, which is, you know, not plain English, obviously. And the more you code, the more you get used to it, the more this stuff will kind of like slip into your pseudocode, and that's fine. It's just there to be helpful for you. You know, once you get more comfortable, you'll notice yourself doing that more and more. The other cool thing about pseudocode and what makes it useful is that anybody can look at your pseudocode. They don't need to know a particular language, hopefully, but if they're comfortable with programming, they should be able to look at your pseudocode and determine what you're trying to do with it. So I made a mistake here. Sorry, I'm going to wave my magic wand, change a few I's to J. So we're going to do a void function. We don't need to return anything. We are going to pass in this array. So it's an integer array that we're passing in. And then we're going to define another integer length, and I'm going to make this the size of the array. So that's how I'm going to make these nested for loops a little bit clearer as far as what they do. So for in I equals 0, and we're just looking at our pseudocode, going line for line, and we're going to go to the end, which we've defined as length here, -1, and I++, and then we're just going to do another for loop, and again we're just looking at our pseudocode and just doing exactly what it says. You really, if you've written your pseudocode right, you almost don't even need to, it's almost brainless. You just kind of turn it into C++, which of course can be tricky if you're not super familiar with it. So if statement here, our location is greater than the next location in our list, then we're going to go ahead and swap these variables, or swap the numbers here. That's how our sort's going to work. So we've got a dummy variable swap number, set that to that location. And again, all we're doing is just following our pseudocode and just doing exactly what we've already written down. I am here at the end. You can see that at the bottom on the pseudocode on the Python that we've got print. So pseudocode, just print the list, and Python, that's actually how you print the list. It's pretty easy, but C++, a little bit different. So I'm just gonna copy paste here and show you. So again, print list is really easy to write, but if you have to write that out in C++, it's actually 2 lines of code. So it's a lot more. So now you can see kind of the usefulness of pseudocode. I hope this video helped.